Hi there, Julie and Brian Perry, and today we're going to bring you the real estate topic of the week, which is FHA loans.
Okay, Inside Real Estate, episode 2, I think.
So today we're going to talk about FHA loans. So a lot of people don't know what FHA loans are, and some people have an automatic reaction when, for example, they get an offer and it's FHA. So we're going to talk about maybe a stigma that FHA might have, and the good, the bad, the indifferent, and
the ugly, I think you meant,
the
but fair
ugly.
enough. Okay.
I was trying not to say that.
That's
but
Clint
okay.
Eastwood. Okay,
Okay.
fair enough.
Fair enough. So, Brian Perry,
Sorry, what was the question?
FHA loans.
What are they?
Sure.
So FHA is a like a government-backed loan where they offer a easier to qualify for option for buyers. A lot of people confuse it with a first-time home buyer loan, which it's commonly used for, but that's not the only people that can use it. Anybody can qualify for an FHA loan that qualifies for it. And so
what would be the reason why someone would want to go FHA as opposed to conventional?
well, there's two major reasons. Number one is it's easier to qualify for an FHA loan. So that's one of the major reasons that people go FHA. The other reason that people go FHA is because it allows you to put down as little as a 3.5% down payment. And although conventional can get that low with the down payment, it's much more difficult to qualify for. So the interesting thing is, when you see an FHA loan, in some respects, they're a little bit more secure than a conventional loan because it's easier to qualify for. Therefore, the likelihood that it's going to work out is greater. And I don't know if you're going to ask this or not, but another factor with the FHA loans are they used to be, I think, in my opinion, a bit more stringent maybe 10, 12 years ago. And they used to have a much more thorough process they would go through, even evaluating the home itself, the property that you're trying to purchase. Nowadays, it's very much like a conventional loan from that respect. They don't really scrutinize things deeply, so it's not any more difficult than a normal mortgage from the buyer's perspective and all that.
So do you think that's why sometimes people, when they receive an offer, for example, maybe they haven't sold a house in 15 or 20 years, could have maybe that mentality that it's harder, it's more likely that's not going to close or something's going to go wrong. So I don't really want to take an FHA offer.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I guess maybe they have their own preconceived notions. Of course, if you sell a house in the past and you kind of get burned, with a particular type of financing or something, I get it. People feel weird about that, but I would say on average, FHA loans actually work out quite well, generally speaking. I mean, the reality of it is people that go FHA primarily do so because they don't have an excessive amount of funds at the ready. I mean, if they did, they might prefer to go with the higher down payment conventional. It's a little bit better in the long run to do that. But FHA is a really fabulous program that gives people the opportunity to buy a home that in many cases maybe could not. And many of them are still very good quality buyers. I personally think it's a case-by-case basis. I mean, I get conventional loans with 30% down sometimes that I think, this is not that great. And I get FHA loans at 3.5% down. Sometimes I say, wow, that's actually, the way it works out is really, really great for the seller even in that instance. So every circumstance is different. The qualification of the buyer is applicable in all of these circumstances. And so
that what I hear you're saying is, a lot of buyers might go FHA because it allows you to put very little down payment, as low as 3.5%. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that just because it's an FHA offer, that necessarily that the buyer has no money. Like, it will really be in a case-by-case scenario. There could still be a strong buyer, but they're just going FHA for other reasons, other than just, like, you could have an FHA offer with maybe a higher down payment because they're stronger buyer, but they're going with a program because maybe they have a short sale or maybe I don't know, some kind of background maybe that's causing that.
There's quite a few different reasons. And sometimes the reasons are mild and sometimes they're extreme. We definitely talk about that for a long time.
Yeah.
So it definitely does not make sense to go into all of that detail because it's just too much. But there's a lot of nuance that goes along with it, and it is a consideration for a seller to consider.
Sure.
I said consider. Because just the nature of the offer and how strong it is and everything else. So in other words, like, I'll say something controversial about FHA loans then. So, a lot of FHA loans allow the buyer to ask the seller to pay some of their closing costs. And is that good for the buyer? Oh yeah, that's really good. I mean, if you get the seller to pay some of your closing costs, that can make a huge difference in
your ability to buy it, or
yeah, a lot of different factors there. However, if I'm a seller and I receive an FHA offer and I see they're asking for a pretty significant amount of closing costs, I don't know, I might take a step there and kind of consider if that is going to make sense, because that might be indicative that they don't actually have money. And so I might be a little bit concerned with that. But every situation is unique and different, so,
Now, I think I've also heard this about people think that they'll be required repairs, for example. Is that true? Would FHA require the seller to make repairs?
I mean, not really. No, I mean, there may be something in FHA guidelines that might require some repairs, but it's very rare that we see that in FHA loans. Very rare. Now, the whole contract process and closing process, that's a whole other conversation. We'll do another video on that, inspections and everything else. But FHA doesn't usually absolutely require it themselves, so it's usually not that big of a deal. No, not much. But in some extreme cases, they might. I mean, if there's a major problem, that might be an issue. But in most normal transactions, it doesn't really come up that much. So.
All right, very good. Anything you want to add?
Oh man, there's a lot to talk about with FHA loans. If you are thinking about purchasing a home and you want to talk about some low down payment options, or you want to understand more about FHA loans, if you're selling a house and you're a little bit nervous about receiving an FHA offer, there's an awful lot of things that we can talk about there. So feel free to reach out to us, 561-880-5696. We're happy to chat with you about it and explain to you a lot of different things. And but I think for now, I think that covers the real important stuff.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.